Let the games begin.
Do you have what it takes to beat the traps of Saw 5? Could you outsmart the genius responsible for the famous torture devices? And if so, how would you do it? Is it even possible? Let's find out. Here is our take on how to beat the traps of Saw 5. Now, if you want to skip the quick intro and jump right into how to beat the traps, then click on the timestamp below. The fans' favorite horror franchise is a classic and needs no introduction. Not so random people find themselves trapped in old rusty chambers linked to some novel and honestly, more often than not, quite intriguing torture device. A clock as well as a TV screen are fixed assets in each and every chamber, and the famous puppet is one of the most iconic faces in horror history. What many don't know is that the puppet fulfills a rather symbolic job. You see, John Kramer is a puppet master. All of his chosen victims do exactly as he predicts, without any further or direct instructions, especially in this part of the series. If you are a true fan of the franchise, you will know that the sick game of torture is in reality rehabilitation. Yep, John Kramer, better known as Jigsaw, doesn't just torture random people for personal entertainment. Nope, it is no entertainment at all. He does so to benefit the larger society, because he cures madness with madness, he explains. But why? Well, in Saw 5, we find out that the prisons do not seem very promising in preventing the bad apples of society to continue committing crimes. In fact, we are told that 67.5% of released prisoners end up behind bars again, within just 3 years of their release. While torture devices of the Saw movies are rather unlikely to be used in the real world, which is reassuring, the ideology that stands behind them isn't. The data presented in the movie comes very close to the actual number found in our world. In 2019, the rate of violent crimes committed by ex-convicts within just 8 years of their release stood at 64%. Therefore, we can safely conclude that the prison system as we know it has indeed failed. And so, it is no wonder that the number of self-proclaimed heroes has multiplied in recent years. And that is why John Kramer does what he does. He doesn't punish, he cures. Grab your snacks, people, and let me show you how I would beat the traps of Saw 5. In this movie we have 3 independent torture scenes or sequences to go through. The first is the device that ultimately killed Seth Baxter, which as you know is impossible to solve, as in fact there was no chance of solving it. He was meant to die. There isn't really much to figure out here, but if you do find a creative way to get out of this situation, you're more than welcome to share it with us in the comments down below. The second device is the water box that aims on taking out Agent Peter Stram. Now this one was rather fascinating. If you have watched the movie, you might remember that Agent Stram does not fail to impress when he pierces a ballpoint pen right through his throat in order to perform what is known as a tracheostomy. Now don't try to say this again or you might end up needing one. But perhaps we can find another, less risky way to beat this trap. Because there is no way I would stab myself in the throat with a pen. Actually, I don't want to stab myself with anything. We can see he sits in an office chair, able to turn around 360 degrees. His head, stuck in the box, also seems loose enough to actually turn. The first thing I would do is look around. Check out each and every corner of the trap, because you need to know exactly what is going on. Once you have gained the full picture, you perhaps realize that the tubes which fill in the water are actually in reach. And this is it, folks. Grabbing the tubes is your only chance here, and there are 3 ways to go about it. First, try to pull them out completely, as hard as you can. And if that doesn't work, use your pen to poke holes into the tubes, so that the water can escape. But let's be honest, guys, both of these options seem a little bit difficult to pull off. I think the tubes are rather strongly attached to the glass box, and the material of these tubes, well, they look like they're made out of strong rubber, meaning they won't break that easily. So the most likely way to beat this trap is by grabbing the tubes at the lowest point to stop the flow of water. It is very doable because firstly, you can easily reach them, and secondly, you have a chair where you can strategically position your cell phone in order not to waste any more energy than minimally required. And then you wait until someone comes to rescue. Now you might think this takes on forever, but remember, Peter Stram, as well as you right now, is an FBI agent. and his phone is on the table. So at one point, his phone will be tracked, and you will be found. The good thing is, Jigsaw is not watching you in this particular room, hence, you're free to free yourself. That is, if you don't panic and lose your shit, just like the next guy in our analysis. You find yourself once again in the hands of no other than Jigsaw. But this time, not only you are wearing a kinky collar, but 4 strangers are also caught up in the exact same situation. But are they really strangers to you? No, Jigsaw makes this very clear, as he states that all of you are linked together. Literally linked together. He shares with all of you that there is a connection between each and every one of you, and explains the captivating torture device. He furthermore states that in order to survive, you must not go with your usual instinct, which is a very straightforward suggestion. My take on that is the following. The obvious instinct in the eye of death is survival. I must survive will be present in everyone's head at this point. And this is it, friends. In order to survive, this thought, this instinct is wrong, according to Jigsaw at least. Since we all are facing the exact same danger, it is not I that must survive, it is we. Once thought of it in these terms, it becomes rather obvious. But first things first, don't be this guy. Everyone is trapped, so do not accuse other people, and most importantly, stop panicking. Nobody likes a drama queen, and you, my friend, are in a very bad situation, so shut it. You want friends, not enemies. Now we at Binge Express would solve the trap like this. First of all, it would be possible for each one of us to walk up, break the glass box, secure a key, and open the collar. Simple and easy, one by one. Once someone has secured a key, whoever it is that reaches out first, we would absolutely try the key on our collar as well. To further back this claim, somebody's watching you, implied by the camera above, and the same person gave you hints in order to survive, meaning death is an option and not the rule, allowing the possibility of more than just one way to survive. I guess what I'm trying to say here is you have to think outside the box. Great, everyone survived. This is a very crucial point. Now here's what I mean. If everyone survives, the morale of the group skyrockets, which is an important aspect for healthy teamwork. Surviving situations like these builds trust and binds people together. Off to the next one. What can go wrong? Oh well, if you remember the prison scene of Shanghai Noon, I know I got you covered. Now this chamber is rather straightforward to solve, and I'm sure most of you had it figured out by watching the scene as well. If not, then here you go. All 3 available tubes are large enough to fit in multiple people. But perhaps there is more to figure out here. What I'm talking about is this. There seems to be another part, another side of the kennel system, promising that if you can get over there, which is definitely not intended by Jigsaw, you might be able to escape without any further trials to overcome. Because we don't know what's coming next, but knowing Jigsaw was behind all of this, I must admit I'm not eager to find out myself. But how do we get over there, you might ask? Well, you're 5 people, practically uninjured at this point, which is a great thing. Furthermore, there are items lying around and other tools, and instead of using them to hurt each other, we will try to use them for our advantage. Now, here's my idea. Wet clothes is extremely durable, even able to bend steel sometimes, with the right technique, I mean. Wet the shirt or jeans, take them around 2 of the poles at the closed side of the tube, take a stick, preferably metal, and fixate both ends of the clothespins on it. Twist it, and hope that you can either bend the bars or loose them up enough in order to break through with force. Since the bars are rusty and the whole place rather abandoned, there's an actual chance it could work. Now, you're either on your way out, or perhaps you couldn't break out, and you have to go through the next trial, which is, bridging an electric circuit of 100 mA with what seems to be your own body. I'm sorry to break it to you, it's a bad idea because, well, it's shockingly lethal. However, luckily you're 5 hopefully healthy people, and therefore the maximum current that goes through each one of you would be 20 mA, which is still quite a bit, but a lot less than 100. Alright, everyone has survived. You have entered the 4th and hopefully last room. The game this time is to fill a big jar with enough blood in order to make it drop down to release the lock system on the massive door next by. The circular saws and the oddly perfect hand-sized entrances are definitely implying something not so pretty. If all of you 5 have made it this far without killing and stabbing each other, this will be the ultimate trial to test your moral conduct. Why? Well, all previous trials could be overcome with minor or no damage at all. Now, however, you have to saw into your hand, and those saws look absolutely terrifying. I mean, have you ever cut yourself while cooking? That shit actually hurts. And now having to voluntarily saw into my hand with this? Definitely not very inviting. But then again, your 5 people evaded death 3 times together and are very close to be out of there. It is highly likely that if you've made it this far, you will also be able to ditch this one. Although damaged, you will remain alive. Congratulations. Or you peer into it and save a finger or two, but don't stick it in too far, please. So here's my conclusion. In life or death situations where your well-being is directly threatened, the most important thing is to remain calm and trusting. Losing control over one's emotion may very well lead to an early death. The one thing those 5 participants screwed themselves up with was the lack of trust. Each and every one of them only thought of their independent survival, which ultimately led to their demise. If they took Jigsaw's hint seriously, that they all were related in some way or another, and actually tried to figure it out by getting to know each other, they would have concluded that teamwork will save them while egoism will lead to a sure death. Now, did you realize this? After every chamber, the clock of the next room wouldn't start until the door of the last was shut, allowing for extended periods of time to communicate and find out the connection between them, or a way out. So there you have it. That's how we would survive Saw 5. But how would you survive those attempts to murder you? Let us know your take in the comment section below. We're eager to find out, and we see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.